You're listening to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, created to help you succeed in your educational journey. Learn more at baremetalcyber.com, where additional prepcasts, books, and training materials await. Let's get started. Flow optimization is the discipline of using evidence to improve how value moves through a delivery system. The orientation here emphasizes that metrics are not ends in themselves but tools for making targeted adjustments that increase finished outcomes per unit of time. Distribution-aware measures reveal where delays, unpredictability, and rework accumulate, while small, reversible interventions test remedies safely. Unlike speed-at-all-costs approaches, flow optimization insists that throughput must rise without compromising quality or safety. By looking beyond averages to cycle time percentiles, arrival rates, and blocker patterns, teams see where the system truly struggles. Each improvement then becomes a hypothesis tested against evidence, not an assumption. Flow optimization is not about squeezing more effort from people, but about designing systems that reduce waste and friction. Done well, it creates steadier flow, faster delivery of value, and stronger trust in commitments. Throughput definition anchors flow discussions in what the system actually produces, completed items over time. This is distinct from effort expended or items started. A team may log many hours or begin dozens of tasks, but unless those tasks finish, no value is delivered. For example, throughput might be defined as stories completed per week or features deployed per month. This measure makes delivery visible in terms of outcomes, not activity. It also grounds capacity planning, as commitments must reflect what historically gets finished, not what is hoped. Throughput provides a sober view of system performance, forcing conversations to focus on flow efficiency rather than busyness. By defining throughput clearly, organizations shift culture from appearance to results. It becomes the core output measure against which other flow metrics like cycle time and WIP are contextualized, creating clarity about what matters most. Finished value. Lead time and cycle time provide two complementary views of flow. Lead time measures the span from request to completion, reflecting customer experience, how long users wait for outcomes. Cycle time measures from when work starts to when it finishes, reflecting internal efficiency. For example, a request might sit idle in backlog for 3 weeks, take 1 week in development, and 2 days in testing, yielding a lead time of 4 weeks but a cycle time of just over 1. Distinguishing the two helps teams diagnose where delays occur. If cycle time is stable but lead time is long, intake and prioritization may be the issue. If cycle time itself is highly variable, internal processes need attention. Together, these measures ensure that flow discussions address both customer expectations and system efficiency. They also provide benchmarks for evaluating whether interventions truly shorten waits or merely shift them. Little's Law links average WIP, throughput, and cycle time, offering a mathematical explanation for why limiting concurrency improves flow. The law states, average cycle time equals average WIP divided by throughput. If a team completes 10 items per week but keeps 30 in progress, average cycle time will be 3 weeks. Reducing WIP to 20 lowers cycle time to 2 weeks, even if throughput is unchanged. This relationship proves that starting more work does not accelerate delivery. It slows it. By applying Little's Law, teams understand why flow optimization emphasizes finishing before starting. It reinforces that stability arises from controlling WIP, not from pressuring people to move faster. The law also provides a diagnostic lens. When throughput is stable but cycle times grow, WIP must be the culprit. Little's Law transforms intuition into evidence, grounding flow management in predictable, testable dynamics. Arrival versus completion rates reveal when a system is overloaded. If the rate of new requests consistently exceeds the rate of completion, queues grow indefinitely and predictability collapses. For example, if 20 new items are requested weekly but only 15 finish, backlog grows by 5 per week, creating unsustainable pressure. Flow optimization requires acknowledging this imbalance and acting, controlling intake, resequencing, or deferring low-value requests. Monitoring arrival and completion rates makes capacity limits visible, preventing false commitments. It also empowers teams to have honest conversations with stakeholders about what can realistically be delivered. This discipline reframes flow not as a matter of working harder, but of balancing demand and capacity. By aligning these rates, organizations prevent hidden queues, reduce stress, and create sustainable predictability. Arrival versus completion analysis provides the early warning system for overload. Cycle time distributions and percentiles expose risks that averages conceal. While average cycle time may look stable, long-tail items can disrupt predictability and frustrate customers. For example, if most stories finish in 5 days but some take 30, the 85th and 95th percentiles reveal these risks. Percentile reporting shows the likelihood of outliers and informs realistic expectations. It also directs improvement efforts. Reducing tail delays often produces greater predictability than shaving a day off the average. Distribution views reinforce that flow is about reliability as much as speed. By making spreads visible, teams understand whether improvements tighten predictability or simply shift the average. Percentile reporting builds trust with stakeholders, as commitments are based on honest ranges rather than flattering single numbers. This practice transforms flow measurement from superficial to rigorous, highlighting where variability undermines delivery confidence. Age and stage signals identify items that have stalled within a workflow stage. Instead of waiting until cycle times balloon, these signals surface pending decisions, dependencies, or neglect early. For example, if testing tasks typically finish within 3 days but one has aged to 10, an alert signals the need for swarming or escalation. Age tracking highlights bottlenecks before deadlines loom. It also prevents unfairness, ensuring older items are not forgotten while newer ones advance. Age and stage metrics improve responsiveness by focusing attention where delay is already accumulating. They also expose hidden work in progress that inflates variability. By pairing WIP caps with age signals, organizations maintain healthy flow and reduce surprises. This discipline ensures that stagnation is visible, actionable, and treated as a signal for intervention. Age metrics turn boards into active monitors of risk, rather than passive trackers of status. Flow efficiency measures the ratio of value-adding time to total elapsed time. In many systems, active work occupies a fraction of overall lead time, with the majority consumed by waiting, handoffs, and rework. For example, a feature might require 8 hours of development, but take 2 weeks to complete due to idle time and testing and review. Flow efficiency makes this imbalance explicit, revealing that throughput is suppressed not by effort but by systemic delays. By calculating this ratio, teams gain insight into where interventions will matter most. Improvements like reducing queues, automating checks, or streamlining handoffs often yield greater benefits than pushing individuals to work faster. Flow efficiency shifts focus from local productivity to system-level waste. It reminds organizations that throughput depends more on reducing waiting time than on squeezing value-adding steps. A blocker taxonomy categorizes the causes of stalled work, enabling targeted remedies. Blockers may arise from dependencies, decisions, environments, or defects. For example, one story might be blocked waiting for vendor integration, another awaiting a legal decision, and another due to a failing test environment. Categorizing blockers prevents them from being treated as generic stops. It also highlights systemic weaknesses. Frequent dependency blocks suggest integration fragility, while recurring decision blocks indicate governance delays. Taxonomy enables measurement, showing which categories most suppress throughput. This evidence informs where investment should be made. By making blockers visible and categorized, organizations shift from firefighting to prevention. Blocker taxonomy transforms interruptions from noise into data, guiding flow optimization. It ensures that remedies are matched to causes, building resilience and predictability over time. Rework and return to stage counts quantify how often items move backward in the flow. Each return represents wasted capacity and reduced effective throughput. For example, if stories frequently bounce from testing back to development, it signals clarity or quality issues upstream. Measuring rework shifts attention from output volume to effective value delivered. It also highlights where acceptance criteria or refinement need improvement. Rework counts provide leverage. Reducing preventable returns directly increases throughput without increasing effort. They also reinforce quality as a dimension of flow. Faster delivery is meaningless if items are repeatedly reworked. By tracking returns, organizations hold systems accountable for clarity and stability. This discipline links quality and throughput, showing that they are not opposites but interdependent. Reducing rework is one of the fastest ways to optimize flow sustainably. Batch size and item granularity shape variability in flow. Larger, coarse-grained items carry more uncertainty, require longer cycle times, and increase rollback cost. Thinner slices reduce risk, accelerate feedback, and stabilize flow. For example, delivering a reporting overhaul as one massive release produces unpredictable outcomes, while splitting it into thin, end-to-end increments enables steady delivery and early learning. Smaller items move faster through the system, reducing queues and improving predictability. Batch size also influences flow perception. Smaller increments create visible progress, reinforcing morale and stakeholder trust. Flow optimization emphasizes granularity as a controllable lever. Thinner slices yield smoother throughput. By focusing on small, coherent items, organizations convert variability into stability. This discipline acknowledges that system performance depends as much on how work is sized as on how it is executed. Class of service policies align flow with urgency while protecting system stability. Standard work proceeds under normal limits. Fixed date items are scheduled to meet obligations. Expedites are rare exceptions with strict criteria. And intangible work addresses resilience. Policies ensure that urgency is managed proportionately rather than chaotically. For example, only one expedite may be active at a time, with postmortems to assess justification. Fixed date items are sequenced early to avoid last-minute overloads. Intangible work is explicitly allocated capacity so it is not deferred endlessly. Class of service discipline ensures that flow is resilient across demand types. It balances responsiveness with predictability, protecting system health while serving urgent needs. By embedding these policies, organizations prevent overload and distortion, maintaining steady throughput. Service classes make urgency transparent and manageable, rather than disruptive. Capacity realism grounds commitments in empirical throughput and WIP limits, rather than optimistic sums. Teams may be tempted to promise delivery based on effort estimates or stakeholder pressure, but flow optimization requires evidence-based capacity planning. For example, if historical throughput averages 10 items per sprint, committing to 15 invites failure. Realism aligns expectations with what the system can deliver sustainably. It protects trust, as commitments are more likely to be met. Capacity realism also highlights trade-offs. If demand exceeds capacity, sequencing or intake control is necessary. By anchoring in empirical data, organizations avoid overextension that leads to missed deadlines, overtime, and degraded quality. Realism is not pessimism, it is discipline. It ensures that throughput is optimized by working within system constraints rather than denying them. Non-functional work visibility ensures that reliability, security, and operability tasks are integrated into flow rather than deferred. Without visibility, such work accumulates as hidden risk, creating spikes of disruption later. For example, ignoring security testing during development may produce urgent crises just before release. Flow optimization requires treating non-functional items as first-class backlog entries, subject to the same WIP limits and acceptance criteria. This practice balances delivery of features with delivery of trust attributes. It prevents systems from appearing efficient while quietly eroding stability. By making non-functional work visible, organizations align throughput with holistic value. They reinforce that finished outcomes are not only functional, but also resilient, secure, and operable. Visibility integrates risk reduction into normal flow, reducing late surprises and improving predictability. Anti-pattern awareness guards against practices that distort flow metrics without improving outcomes. Common traps include Big Bang releases that hide variability, hidden queues that inflate lead time invisibly, and velocity games where points are inflated to show false progress. These behaviors undermine trust and waste energy. For example, delivering one massive batch of work may appear productive, but produces unpredictability and high rollback risk. By naming and rejecting these anti-patterns, organizations maintain discipline. Flow optimization must be rooted in honest signals and incremental progress, not cosmetic appearances. Anti-pattern vigilance ensures that improvements remain genuine, evidence-based, and aligned with outcomes. It protects credibility and reinforces that optimization is not about looking faster, but about becoming truly more predictable and resilient. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Work-in-process tuning refines the balance between throughput and predictability by adjusting WIP caps based on real evidence. Teams monitor cycle time percentiles, blocker frequency, and queue aging to determine whether current limits are effective. For example, if cycle times tighten and blockers decline, a team may cautiously increase caps. Conversely, if long tails reappear or blocked items multiply, limits should be lowered. Tuning prevents WIP policies from becoming brittle or arbitrary. It reinforces that limits are not punishment, but experiments designed to stabilize flow. Regular reviews ensure adjustments are deliberate, transparent, and data-driven. This discipline builds trust with stakeholders, who see that policies adapt to evidence rather than opinion. WIP tuning demonstrates humility. Systems are dynamic, and flow optimization requires continual calibration. It ensures that improvements remain relevant, producing steadier throughput over time. Decomposition into thin, end-to-end slices lowers variability and accelerates feedback. Large, coarse-grained items create unpredictable cycle times, as their complexity hides unknowns until late. By splitting work into small, coherent increments that deliver observable value, teams reduce risk and speed validation. For example, instead of releasing an entire reporting module at once, teams may deliver one export format, then add filters, then add visualization. Each slice provides learning, surfaces defects earlier, and reduces rollback cost. Thin slices also improve predictability as cycle times converge toward tighter distributions. They make progress visible, boosting morale and stakeholder trust. Decomposition is not just about breaking work smaller, it is about preserving outcome integrity while lowering uncertainty. Flow optimization relies on slicing as a lever to smooth throughput and improve quality simultaneously. It transforms complexity into manageable increments. Swarming practices convert breadth into finished outcomes. When WIP limits are breached or aging signals highlight stagnation, the team shifts collective energy to the oldest or highest value item. For example, developers and testers may pair on a delayed story, ensuring it crosses the finish line instead of starting new work. Swarming accelerates completion, reduces variability, and strengthens predictability. It also builds team cohesion as members collaborate beyond role boundaries. Swarming demonstrates that progress is measured by what finishes, not by how many items are being touched. It reinforces finish-first culture, showing that throughput improves when attention is concentrated. By institutionalizing swarming, organizations create resilience. When flow falters, the team rallies to restore stability. This practice prevents work from languishing and ensures that value is delivered consistently. Swarming is both a cultural and operational enabler of flow optimization. Arrival control matches demand to capacity, preventing overload that undermines predictability. Intake policies, buffers, and option sets help regulate the pace of new requests. For example, teams may maintain a limited ready-for-development queue, replenished only when WIP falls below caps. Buffers absorb variability in demand, while option sets provide stakeholders with trade-offs for what enters next. Arrival control makes it clear that not all requests can be started immediately, preserving focus on finishing. It also creates fairness, as intake decisions are transparent and aligned to priorities. By balancing arrival with completion rates, teams prevent hidden queues from growing and cycle times from spiraling. This discipline shifts culture from reactive to proactive, ensuring that flow is stabilized at the source. Arrival control demonstrates that predictability begins with disciplined intake, not with frantic acceleration once overload occurs. Service-level expectations tie flow optimization to stakeholder commitments in realistic, distribution-aware terms. Instead of promising all work will complete in a fixed time, teams commit to percentile-based targets. For example, 85% of standard items finish within 10 days sets a credible expectation while acknowledging variability. These expectations guide sequencing, aging responses, and communication. They also link internal practices, like WIP limits, and swarming to external reliability. Stakeholders gain trust that delivery is predictable, not because it is perfect, but because it is honest and evidence-based. Service levels also provide a feedback loop. If targets are repeatedly missed, policies must adjust. By embedding service expectations, organizations align system stability with customer promises. This practice demonstrates maturity, balancing transparency with accountability. It ensures that throughput improvements translate into commitments stakeholders can depend on. Sequencing by cost of delay and risk reduction ensures that flow optimization is not just faster, but smarter. Cost of delay quantifies the penalty of waiting, revenue missed, risk exposure prolonged, or opportunity windows lost. By prioritizing high-cost items earlier, teams maximize the value of each increment delivered. Risk reduction sequencing places uncertain or fragile items earlier, collapsing uncertainty before stakes grow higher. For example, testing a critical integration early reduces the risk of discovering incompatibility late. This approach aligns sequencing with value and safety rather than convenience. It also reinforces fairness, as priorities are based on explicit, agreed criteria. By sequencing strategically, teams prevent urgent, high-impact items from being buried behind low-value work. Sequencing decisions informed by cost of delay and risk reduction ensure that flow optimization produces not only speed, but also resilience and return on effort. Dependency decoupling strengthens flow by reducing stalls caused by external constraints. Adapters, stubs, and contract tests allow teams to progress independently while protecting downstream consumers. For example, if an API provider is delayed, a stub can simulate responses so integration testing continues. Contract tests ensure compatibility is verified before full integration, reducing rework. Decoupling transforms dependencies from blocking obstacles into managed risks. It also improves predictability, as parallel progress reduces bottlenecks. This practice does not eliminate dependencies but makes them explicit and resilient. By embedding decoupling tools, organizations stabilize flow in complex ecosystems where external factors are inevitable. It demonstrates maturity, acknowledging systemic interdependence while designing safeguards against fragility. Dependency decoupling is a cornerstone of flow optimization, enabling throughput to improve even in interconnected environments. Automation targets chronic delays and rework sources that suppress throughput. Flaky tests, manual promotions, and repetitive checks all erode predictability. By automating these steps, teams reduce variability and accelerate feedback. For example, automating regression tests eliminates repeated delays from manual execution and reduces escaped defects. Automated promotion pipelines shorten lead time between development and production. Automation also reduces context switching, as teams no longer pause to handle routine checks. It frees energy for higher-value work, raising both speed and quality. Automation investments should focus on high-frequency, high-pain activities to maximize impact. By targeting bottlenecks, organizations compound gains. Each automated step saves time and reduces errors in every cycle. Automation makes flow optimization scalable, embedding reliability and speed into the system itself, rather than depending on vigilance alone. Cadence harmonization aligns planning, integration, and demo rhythms across teams to reduce idle time and batching. When groups operate on mismatched cycles, work often waits for synchronization points. For example, if one team plans bi-weekly, but a dependent team integrates monthly, queues accumulate and predictability suffers. Harmonization does not mean every team must adopt identical cadences, but integration points must align. Shared demo schedules also reduce rework by surfacing issues earlier. By synchronizing rhythms, organizations reduce wait time, avoid large batches, and stabilize delivery across boundaries. Harmonization creates flow coherence in multi-team environments. It ensures that throughput improvements scale beyond single groups. By aligning cycles intentionally, organizations transform systemic variability into stability, making cross-team delivery more predictable and trustworthy. Probabilistic forecasting provides realistic delivery estimates by using historical throughput distributions and simulations. Instead of promising fixed dates, teams produce ranges with confidence levels. For example, forecasting may show that there is an 85% chance a feature will complete within 20 to 25 days. This approach respects variability and communicates uncertainty honestly. It also empowers stakeholders to make informed decisions based on probabilities rather than false certainty. Forecasting connects metrics directly to planning, ensuring that throughput data informs commitments. By using simulation, teams can account for variability in both arrival and completion. Probabilistic forecasts build trust, as stakeholders see that estimates are evidence-based and transparent. This discipline ensures that flow optimization translates into planning realism. It demonstrates maturity, replacing hopeful guesses with probabilistic ranges that stakeholders can depend upon responsibly. Telemetry and observability per slice enable quick decisions to expand, adjust, or roll back. Each increment should include events, logs, and dashboards that verify behavior under real conditions. For example, deploying a new authentication flow might track login success rates, error codes, and time to respond metrics. Observability ensures that flow is validated continuously, not just at the end. It allows teams to detect unintended effects early and act proportionately. Telemetry also provides the evidence needed for service-level tracking and risk management. By embedding observability into every slice, teams connect flow optimization to real-world outcomes. This discipline ensures that throughput improvements are not just theoretical but validated by live behavior. It reinforces that speed must be matched with vigilance, making flow safer and more predictable. Governance right-sizing integrates lightweight evidence gates into flow without halting it. Instead of pause and resume checkpoints, governance travels with work. For example, compliance approvals may be captured within pipelines, with traceability logs attached automatically. This integration reduces delay while preserving accountability. Right-sizing ensures that governance reinforces rather than obstructs flow. It also aligns oversight with proportional risk. High-risk items may require additional evidence, while standard items move with lighter checks. By embedding governance into delivery, organizations eliminate false trade-offs between agility and accountability. Right-sized governance protects both speed and integrity, ensuring that throughput rises without eroding trust. This discipline demonstrates that flow optimization includes compliance as part of system design, not as an afterthought. Flow review cadence provides rhythm for inspecting distributions, blockers, and policies. These reviews are brief but regular, ensuring that optimization remains a living process. For example, monthly reviews may track cycle time spreads, blocker frequency, and WIP adherence, routing findings into small, reversible experiments. Cadence ensures that improvements are iterative and accountable. It prevents flow metrics from decaying into static dashboards without action. Regular reviews also reinforce culture. Flow optimization is not a one-time initiative, but an ongoing discipline. By embedding review cycles, organizations sustain progress and adapt to changing contexts. Flow reviews transform data into decisions, ensuring that throughput improvements are continuous. This practice ensures that metrics remain drivers of change rather than passive observations. Success evidence closes the loop by demonstrating that metric-informed changes produce tangible results. Improvements should appear as shorter lead times, tighter cycle time distributions, higher first-pass yield, and improved predictability. For example, after tuning WIP caps and automating flaky tests, a team might show that 90th percentile cycle time dropped by 40% and escaped defects declined. Evidence validates that flow optimization is working, building stakeholder confidence. It also informs scaling. Successful practices are candidates for broader adoption. Without evidence, optimization risks becoming cosmetic or anecdotal. By embedding success measures, organizations prove that throughput improvements are real, safe, and sustained. Success evidence transforms flow optimization from aspiration into accountable practice. It ensures that changes are not just attempted but validated, sustaining trust in both process and outcomes. Flow optimization synthesis emphasizes that improving throughput requires honest measures, disciplined WIP, and small, reversible experiments guided by evidence. Metrics like throughput, lead time, and percentiles make delays and variability visible. Practices like decomposition, swarming, and sequencing by cost of delay ensure that flow is both faster and smarter. Automation, decoupling, and cadence harmonization address systemic bottlenecks, while governance right-sizing and observability preserve safety and accountability. Review cadences and success evidence ensure continuous learning and scaling. Together, these practices raise throughput without sacrificing quality, predictability, or trust. Flow optimization proves that speed and safety can advance together, producing systems that deliver more value, more reliably, and with stronger stakeholder confidence cycle after cycle. Thanks for tuning in to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, your trusted source for cybersecurity news and insights. Remember to subscribe at baremetalcyber.com so you never miss an update. And visit cyberauthor.me for best-selling cybersecurity books that equip you with expert knowledge. Until next time, stay secure and stay vigilant.